Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to peel back the layers of one of history's absolute greatest and, honestly, most baffling marvels. The Great Pyramid of Giza. We already know the basics, right? But we're going to journey step by step through the crazy architecture, the hidden mathematics, and just the sheer, unbelievable scale of what the ancient world actually pulled off here. Let's get right into it.
In the midst of the scorching heat and haunting silence of the Sahara Desert stands the Great Pyramid of Giza, one of the greatest achievements in human history. Picture it. You're standing out there in that barren, endless sand, just looking up at this structure that's so colossal it literally defies comprehension. That wild contrast between the empty desert and this total pinnacle of human ingenuity, that is exactly where our mystery begins today. 2,300,000. Seriously, let that number sink in for a second. That's the estimated number of individual limestone and granite blocks used to construct this absolute behemoth. We're not talking about a few dozen big rocks just piled together like a giant sandcastle. We are talking about millions of individual pieces perfectly arranged.
And they aren't small pieces either. While some of the internal blocks are, relatively modest, check out this number, 80. Some of the individual granite beams used deep inside the pyramid weigh up to 80 tons. 80. Just moving a single stone of that weight today requires massive, specialized industrial machinery.
Yet all of this, the whole shebang, was accomplished roughly 4,500 years ago during the reign of Pharaoh Khufu in Egypt's Old Kingdom. It's the most ancient of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, and it's absolutely wild to think that it's the only one still largely intact today.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, A Mountain of Stone, the physical reality of Giza.
Because here's the thing you have to remember. The Great Pyramid isn't just a solid pile of rocks. It's an incredibly carefully engineered structure, specifically designed to protect its hollowed-out core. Right at the very center is the King's Chamber, suspended roughly 75 meters above ground level.
Protecting this chamber was no small feat. The roof alone is formed by those massive granite beams we were just talking about, weighing around 45 tons each. But right above that roof is a brilliantly designed series of relieving chambers. The builders explicitly designed these hollow spaces to redistribute the immense weight of the millions of blocks stacked above. By diverting all that downward pressure away from the King's Chamber, they stopped it from just caving in on itself. It is, without a doubt, one of the most sophisticated examples of load management in all of ancient monumental architecture.
Moving on to Section 2, aligned with the cosmos, the earth and sky connection. The physical stone is really just the first layer of this giant matryoshka doll, so let's peel that away and look at the monument's invisible connections with our globe and with the cosmos itself.
And this brilliantly illustrates one of the most mind-bending parallels. At the time of its construction, the pyramid soared to an original height of 149.4 meters. Astoundingly, this exact number mirrors the distance from the Earth to the Sun, which is 149.4 million kilometers. Now, looking at this objectively, we have to ask, is this just the mother of all coincidences, or does it invite speculation that the builders possessed an incredibly profound, advanced understanding of astronomy?
And it doesn't stop with the sun. The pyramid sits at a location that aligns almost perfectly with the geographical center of the Earth's 5 ancient continents. It is practically equidistant from the farthest reaches of Africa, Europe, Asia, North and South America. It really hints at this potential, almost inexplicable knowledge of global geography.
The astronomical alignments are just as baffling. The pyramid is aligned to true north, deviating by only a tiny fraction of a degree, a feat they somehow nailed without modern compasses, satellites, or GPS. Its entrance is perfectly oriented toward the pole star, a fixed point in the heavens. And deep within the structure, these narrow shafts align directly with Sirius, the brightest star visible from Earth. In fact, on certain nights, the Great Pyramid stands dead center beneath Sirius. They somehow anchored this colossal monument to the exact geometry of our planet and the precise map of the heavens. It's absolutely staggering when you think about it. Section 3. The Geometry of Giza, the Mathematical Constants. This begs a massive, rhetorical question. Is the physical outside of this structure just a shell for a giant, ancient mathematical equation? Let's peel back another layer and look at the abstract math.
Before we dig into the pyramid's exact dimensions, let's quickly refresh on a couple of concepts. First up is phi, or the golden ratio. This is a unique number, roughly 1.618, that we see absolutely everywhere in nature.
Mathematically, it's super special because its square is exactly one more than itself.
Competing with the whole phi theory is the seked. This was a highly practical ancient Egyptian unit of slope or gradient. It's based on their everyday measurement system, where 1 cubit equals 7 palms. So, some historians theorize the builders just used a standard, practical gradient of 5.5 sekeds to get the pyramid's shape.
Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is just how remarkably close all these competing mathematical theories come to the pyramid's actual estimated dimensions. A pyramid built perfectly to the golden ratio has a variance of just 0.025% from the real Giza pyramid. The practical seked method, that varies by just 0.081%, and a geometry based on pi varies by only 0.121%. So whatever method was actually used, the final result represents the geometry of these foundational mathematical constants with a degree of accuracy that is almost unbelievable.
And speaking of pi, its symbolism is literally carved into the stone. The ratio of the Great Pyramid's circumference to its height equals exactly 3.14. This very same ratio is mathematically reflected inside the dimensions of the king's chamber, too. Whether by deliberate, hyper-advanced design or some sort of structural coincidence, universal mathematical constants are quite literally the building blocks of the structure.
So we have the incredibly heavy stones, the cosmic alignments, the embedded intricate math. But I need to break our pacing for a second here because I want to ask you a question that completely upends everything we think we know. What if the Great Pyramid doesn't actually have 4 sides?
Let's move to Section 4, the hidden 8th side, the equinox illusion, and see how this builds into one of the most brilliantly hidden architectural secrets on the planet.
Believe it or not, each of the 4 main faces of the Great Pyramid actually features a very subtle concave indentation running all the way from the top to the bottom. It physically divides each of the 4 flat faces perfectly in half.
But here is the truly baffling part. This phenomenon is completely invisible from the ground. You literally cannot see it if you're standing right in front of it. This subtle shadow play, which basically divides the pyramid into 8 distinct sides, only becomes apparent when viewed from the sky, specifically at dawn and dusk, and only during the spring and autumn equinoxes. How on earth could ancient builders design a precision optical illusion that relies on the exact position of the sun and can only be observed from an aerial view they theoretically never even had?
Section 5, an enduring ancient mystery, the ultimate puzzle. This brings us right to our conclusion. Let's put our giant Matryoshka doll back together, combining all these physical, cosmic, mathematical, and hidden layers.
When we step back and compile this overwhelming list of anomalies, the big picture is just staggering. The movement of 2.3 million blocks, some weighing 80 tons, a height mirroring the Earth's exact distance to the sun, near-perfect true north alignment, geographical centrality to the ancient continents, the embedding of complex constants like pi and phi, and to top it all off, a hidden 8-sided illusion perfectly synced to the solar equinoxes. So the crucial point is summarized perfectly by this quote from our sources. How could such remarkably precise placement be achieved at a time when the Earth was roamed by primitive humans? There is an immense, fascinating tension here between the established timeline of human technological development and the indisputable, hyper-advanced math sitting right there in the desert. Which leaves us with this final, massive thought to ponder. Are all these astonishing alignments merely a grand coincidence, born of primitive tools and simple, lucky geometry? Or is the Great Pyramid a deliberate, highly advanced mathematical message left in stone for future generations to decode? The pyramid doesn't surrender its secrets easily, and honestly, that is exactly why we'll keep looking. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep questioning everything, and I'll catch you next time.